Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there was a land that looked like a picture straight out of a dream. Every winter, the ground would be covered with a pure white blanket of snow, shining like silk under the golden rays of the sun. The royal palace stood tall in the middle of this kingdom, and inside lived a gentle queen. One day, the queen sat by the window of her chamber. Outside, the snowflakes glistened brightly, sparkling like tiny crystals. She was sewing a piece of white cloth. As she worked, the peaceful beauty of the snow made her heart overflow with a quiet longing. Suddenly, the queen pricked her finger with the needle. 3 drops of bright red blood fell upon the spotless white fabric. The queen looked at it carefully and sighed. She thought to herself, "Oh, how I wish I could have a child, a daughter with skin as fair as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony wood." The heavens seemed to bless her wish, for soon after, her dream came true. She gave birth to a baby girl, a child of rare beauty. The little princess had fair white skin, red lips, and dark hair, just as the queen had imagined. They named her Snow White. But sadly, joy was short-lived. Not long after Snow White was born, the queen fell ill and passed away. The king was heartbroken and grief filled the halls of the palace. A year later, the king remarried. The new queen was very beautiful, but her beauty was matched with arrogance, vanity, and jealousy. She owned a magical mirror, which she would consult every single day. Standing before it, she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror would answer faithfully, "My queen, you are the fairest of them all." This reply pleased her greatly and filled her with pride. As the years passed, Snow White grew. She blossomed into a young girl of breathtaking charm and kindness. Her skin was white as snow, her lips as red as roses, and her hair as black as ebony. Everyone who saw her admired her beauty and gentle heart. One day, as usual, the queen asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" But this time, the mirror gave a different answer. "You are fair, O queen, but Snow White is fairer than you." The queen's heart burned with jealousy and rage. Her pride was shattered. She thought, "As long as I live, no one must be more beautiful than I. Snow White must be destroyed." The queen summoned a loyal huntsman and commanded him, "Take Snow White deep into the forest. There you must kill her. Bring me her heart as proof, so that I know she is gone forever." The huntsman obeyed and led Snow White into the thick forest. When they reached a lonely place, he pulled out his dagger. Trembling with fear, Snow White fell to her knees and pleaded, "Oh, kind huntsman, please spare my life. I will never return to the castle. Let me stay here in the forest, and I will live quietly. Please don't harm me." Her tears and innocence moved the huntsman's heart. He could not bring himself to hurt her. Lowering his weapon, he whispered, "Run, child, run far away. The queen will never let you live if she finds you. Escape and save yourself." He then killed a wild boar instead and took its heart back to the queen, claiming it was Snow White's. Believing his words, the queen rejoiced, thinking her rival was gone forever. Meanwhile, poor Snow White wandered alone in the deep, dark forest. The tall trees towered above her, blocking out the sun. Strange animal cries echoed through the woods, and the rustling of leaves made her shiver with fear. Hours passed as she stumbled through the wilderness, tired and hungry. At last, she came upon a small, charming cottage nestled between the trees. Curious, she stepped inside. Everything inside the little house was neat and tidy. She saw 7 tiny chairs, 7 plates on the table, and 7 little beds lined up in a row. Exhausted, she nibbled a little food from the plates and then lay down on one of the beds. Before long, she fell fast asleep. That night, the 7 dwarves who lived in the cottage returned home from working in the mines. As soon as they entered, they noticed something unusual. "Who has been sitting in my chair?" asked one. "Who has eaten from my plate?" asked another. "Who has been sleeping in my bed?" cried the third. Looking around, they discovered Snow White sleeping peacefully. She looked so lovely and gentle that their anger melted away. When she awoke, she told them her sad story about the wicked queen and the huntsman who had spared her life. The dwarfs listened kindly and said, "Stay here with us, Snow White. Keep our house, cook our meals, and sew and clean. In return, we will protect you and keep you safe from harm." Grateful and relieved, Snow White agreed. And so began a new chapter in her life, living happily with her 7 new friends. But back in the palace, the queen once again stood before her mirror. Confidently, she asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" To her horror, the mirror replied, "You are fair, O queen, but Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs in the forest, is fairer than you." The queen's fury knew no bounds. Her first plan had failed. She decided she must finish Snow White herself. The next day, disguising herself as a peddler woman, she went to the cottage carrying pretty laces and ribbons. When Snow White opened the door, the woman said sweetly, "Come, dear child, try this beautiful lace. It will make you even lovelier." Trusting her, Snow White allowed the woman to lace her bodice. But the queen pulled it tighter and tighter until Snow White gasped for breath and collapsed. Luckily, the dwarfs returned in time. They loosened the lace and revived her. Once again, Snow White was saved. The queen raged when the mirror revealed Snow White still lived. She tried again. This time, she disguised herself as an old comb seller. Offering Snow White a jeweled hair comb, she coaxed her into trying it. The moment the poisoned comb touched her head, Snow White fell unconscious. Again, the dwarfs rushed home and pulled out the comb, saving her life. The queen was furious. She prepared one final trick. Taking a half-red, half-white apple, she poisoned only the red side. Dressed as a kindly old woman, she went to the dwarf's cottage. "Taste this delicious apple, my dear," she said. To prove it was safe, she bit the white half herself. Snow White, tempted, ate the red half. The instant she swallowed, she collapsed lifeless to the ground. This time, the dwarfs could not revive her. Weeping with sorrow, they placed Snow White in a glass coffin, for she looked as beautiful as if she were only asleep. They kept watch day and night, mourning their beloved friend. One day, a prince passed through the forest. He saw the coffin and Snow White lying within. Struck by her beauty, he said to the dwarfs, "Please let me take her with me to my castle. I promise to honor her and cherish her always." At first, the dwarfs refused, unwilling to part with her. But the prince's sincerity touched their hearts, and they agreed. As the prince's men lifted the coffin, it jolted slightly. A piece of the poisoned apple lodged in Snow White's throat was shaken free. Suddenly, she opened her eyes. "Where am I?" she whispered. Overjoyed, the prince exclaimed, "You are safe. I am the one who loves you dearly. Will you come with me and be my queen?" Snow White smiled and agreed. Soon a grand wedding was held in the prince's kingdom. Joyful celebrations filled the land. The 7 dwarfs attended and were honored guests. The wicked queen was also invited, but when she saw Snow White alive and radiant, her anger consumed her. As punishment for her cruelty, she was forced to dance in red-hot iron shoes until she fell lifeless. Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after, surrounded by love and friendship. The 7 dwarfs remained their loyal companions, and the kingdom remembered the tale of the fairest maiden who triumphed over jealousy and evil.